Hey guys, my name's Deborah. This is Capricorn Soul Tribe Tarot. This is going to be for members only. The first couple of days, and members will see this first, okay? This is our book club. Last time I did the North Node in Capricorn. This is the book that I'm using. It's called Astrology for the Soul by Jan Spiller. You can get this book on Amazon.com or a website. You just type in Alibris, A-L-I-B-R-I-S, Alibris. Okay, they have a lot of books that are even out of print as well. You can get it less expensive there. This is going to serve, I'm just going to read the book to you. Read each chapter. I will be doing North Node and Taurus tonight. If you want to follow along, if you want to get the book and read the book and follow along with me, you can. If not, this video will serve as an audiobook. So again, it's Astrology for the Soul by Jan Spiller. Your North Node is where you start when you first start learning astrology. The North Node has no planetary association. The North Node is what you need to know now. It symbolizes where you're going in this lifetime, and it reveals the energy you need to harness to fulfill your soul's mission. So how you would find this, you would go on astrologycafe, C-A-F-E.com, astrologycafe.com, and they ask you to put in your name, where the city you were born in, and if you don't know your time of birth, it's okay. You can put 12 midnight. That's what they usually recommend. If you don't know, you can still find out your North Node. The only thing you can't find out if you don't have, you can't find out your rising sign. You have to have the exact time of birth, but a lot of things you can find without your time of birth. You would just use 12 o'clock and it will tell you your North Node. So this is for people. I'm going to be doing North Node in Taurus tonight. So your North Node, your South Node is the opposite sign. So the opposite sign of Taurus would be Scorpio. So if you have a North Node in Taurus, then your South Node is in Scorpio. The idea is to get out of the energy of the Scorpio to go into the Taurus, okay? It's the opposite sign. If you want to know, because that website does not tell you your South Node. It's the opposite. Like, for example, Taurus would be Scorpio, Capricorn would be Cancer, Leo would be Aquarius. It's like that. Sagittarius, their opposite sign is Gemini, so you get the idea. Let's see, did I forget? I'm feeling like I'm forgetting something. Okay. Let's get started. We got a lot of reading. I got a lot of reading to do because this Taurus, this is a long chapter, real long. So you can take breaks. You can just use it. You can even listen to it while you're sleeping at night, you know. So we have North Node in Taurus, okay, in this book, and it's North Node in the second house for this chapter. So the second house is the house of values, Taurus, Venus. Okay, if you're North Node in Taurus, your planetary, it would be associated with the planet Venus, all right? So the second house, the house of values, consists of money, finances, income, possessions, security, investments, material desires, savings, expenses, movable property, debt management, assets, financial responsibility, resources, physical environment, self-worth, how you relate to and feel about the material world, what you value and why. So this is the second house, the house of values, which will be Taurus. Put that up there where you can see it a little bit better. Okay. All right, let's dive in this chapter. North Node in Taurus and North Node in the second house. Overview. Attributes to develop. Work in these areas can help uncover hidden gifts and talents. Loyalty, So I thought something went wrong with my video, guys. I'm sorry. Let's start over. Overview. Attributes to develop. Work in these areas can help uncover hidden gifts and talents. Okay? Loyalty. Awareness of boundaries. Taking things one step at a time. A sense of self-worth. Awareness of personal values. Patience. Honoring expressed needs of self and others. Enjoying the 5 physical senses. Gratitude. Awareness of nurturing from Mother Earth. Forgiveness and persistence. These are the tendencies to leave behind. Working to reduce the influence of these tendencies can help make life easier and more enjoyable. Attraction to crisis situations. These are things to leave behind. Attraction to crisis situations. Over concern with other people's business. That's funny. Impatience. Inappropriate intensity. Judgmental tendencies. Preoccupation with the psychological motivations of others. Resistance to cooperating with what others want. Overreacting. Destroying something in order to eliminate one part. Obsessive compulsive tendencies. Now, I told y'all this is a doozy. This is a difficult journey if you have a North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio. Achilles heel / trap to avoid the bottom line. The Achilles heel Taurus North Node people need to be aware of its seeking self-worth through others. I can only feel okay about myself through the validation of others, which can lead them into the trap of unending search for a soulmate. If I have this one special person's energy, I'll feel complete. In truth, Taurus North Node people can only achieve a sense of completeness within themselves. It will never come as the byproduct of a relationship, even with a soulmate. No matter how much support and validation they get from others, they always think they need more. In fact, for them, others' validation is a false barometer of whether they are on the right track. Living according to standards they know are right for them, regardless of what others think, will help them develop a sense of self-worth. The bottom line is that at some point they must stop being enmeshed with others and involved in others' business and simply walk their own path instead. The irony is that when they begin to do this, others will support them, both financially and on an energy level. What these people really want. What these people really want is to merge with someone else's energy and feel mutual empowerment. They are looking for total, permanent commitment. They want a partner with whom they can count on to take care of all their material needs, and they will take care of all the partner's emotional needs, or vice versa. A synergistic relationship that is mutually empowering and completely dependable. To successfully establish this type of relationship, they must be discriminating and find someone with similar energy and values. The shared goals must be innately valuable to each of them as individuals. For this to happen, Taurus North Node people must first get in touch with their own values. They must become strong within themselves, aware of what they want, and tune into what is real and meaningful for them. The challenge is to establish their own energy systems and figure out who they are as individuals. As their energy becomes stronger, they will automatically attract mates of similar energy with whom they can form successful partnerships. Talents and professions. These people are the master builders, whether it's a home, a relationship, or a business. When they're willing to follow the rules, they can successfully build anything. They excel in professions that are in alignment with what they consider to be truly valuable. For example, if they consider massage to be a tool for healing others, they could also be profitable for them, then they would be successful in that field. They also have talents with money, focusing on ways by which they can make money on their own and become comfortable, which will lead to an appropriate profession. Any field that emphasizes appreciation of the physical aspects of life and the 5 senses would be enjoyable and profitable. Farming, construction, engineering, cooking, or teaching physical education. Generally, Taurus North Node's best bet is to do their own thing. Either manage their own project, or business, or work for a company where they can feel autonomous. They need to learn to forego immediate results and build one step at a time, becoming comfortable with each step before moving on. Taurus North Node people also have the gift of being very effective in crisis situations, and they have a natural affinity with psychology. Their awareness of the needs and desires of others can help them further their own aims. By openly acknowledging and using the energies of others in mutually empowering, win-win ways, Taurus North Node people can help achieve the results they are both seeking. However, if they involve themselves in professions that focus on psychology or crisis management, they are generally not satisfied and end up feeling empty. They are better off using their talents to establish something of tangible value, which gives them an increased sense of stability. Healing affirmations specific to Taurus North Node. To win, I need to proceed slowly and persistently, step by step. When I live by my own values, I feel good about myself. Mother Nature supplies me with the energy that I need. When I satisfy my own needs and the expressed needs of others, I build a stable base for relationships. If I'm comfortable, I'm on path. What others think of me is none of my business. I can relate to that. What others think of me is none of my business. Personality, past lives, merging with others. In past lives, Taurus North Node people entered inseparable bonded relationships with people of positions of power and influence. They were the queen or courtesan behind the king and were the privy to the inside scoop. But in the end, the decisions were made by other persons. They were the counselor to the chief, prime assistant to the president, or confidant to the general. They fed all their power, energy, and charisma to their more powerful soulmate, and in exchange received validation and appreciation from that one person as acknowledgement of their worth. In past lives, the people of power clothed, fed, and pampered Taurus North Node. All Taurus North Node had to do was stay bonded to that person and help fulfill his or her desires, and the native would experience the finest of lifestyles. So now Taurus North Node tends to be careless with money, as though someone else is going to pay off their credit cards. But in this lifetime, it's not set up to work that way. Taurus North Node's past life dependence on another person robbed them of the knowledge that they could earn their own way with their own talents. Thus, in this incarnation, they need to assume financial responsibility for themselves as a way to regain their self-confidence. When they are not conscious of how they spend money, they can create disastrous debt. Other past lifetimes relevant to this one were spent in ill repute, the business of prostitution in one form or another. In those lives, Taurus North Node's people's success was dependent on not having their own boundaries so they could successfully merge with another's energy field in ways that generated more power than either person could have done alone. They developed a sensitivity to others' needs, which worked very well for them in those lifetimes. However, such intense merging with others caused Taurus North Nodes to lose a sense of their own needs and values as a separate entity. In this incarnation, therefore, when they merge too closely or quickly with another person, they experience betrayal as a warning that they should keep their own boundaries, values, and spiritual ethics. These folks were expert at psychology in past lives as strategists and counselors, penetrating the psychology of others to understand their motives and needs and predict their behavior. They were around people who were unstable, helping them uncover their mental or emotional dysfunction, healing them, and receiving financial protection in return. Their psychic sensitivity enabled them to predict the mindset of the enemy, as well as attend to the unspoken needs and desires of their soulmate. However, in this incarnation, their attunement to others distracts them from effectively pursuing their own direction in a solid, consistent way. Now it is their best interest to pull back from deep involvement with other people and to be more focused on their own business. Are they saying y'all nosy? Taurus, I think they're saying Taurus North Node people are nosy. Some Taurus North Node people have had past lives in which they abused power and reacted with violence. Wow. In this incarnation, they are learning not to abuse power and for some, this may mean being a victim of abuse themselves. Lessons in this lifetime are not easy for these folks. They can experience real extremes in life, ranging from periods of drug or alcohol abuse to dealing with severe psychological problems to sitting in boardrooms and corporations to being on a strict spiritual path. Their lives run the spectrum from the depths of darkness to the highest place of light. Wow. Crisis consciousness. Lifetimes of power struggles with others have resulted in a consciousness that attracts crisis, drama, and living on the edge. Taurus North Node people are addicted to the adrenaline rush that comes from crisis. In order to experience that high, they disregard their bodies, their health, and the peacefulness required to sustain a state of well-being. Time after time, even when it's unnecessary, they take risks that throw them into a state of crisis. Then they thrash and struggle and allow the destructive intensity to wreak havoc in all areas of their lives. Sometimes they abuse drugs or alcohol, which creates new crises on a daily basis. Or they may have a partner in that situation, a person who they saw was wounded and thought they could heal them. That sound familiar, y'all? When confronted with an apparently inflexible situation that runs counter to what they seem to want to create, Taurus North Node people often overreact with so much intensity that they create a crisis where none existed. These reactions are most likely to occur when Taurus North Node people face a possible separation from a symbiotic relationship, okay, or feel that the other person may not be 100% bonded with them. Lacking a sense of their own self-worth, they are utterly dependent on the constant approval of their primary other, the person who provides the money or energy. The dependence means survival. They keep close tabs on the other person's psyche so they can mitigate their own behavior according to what the other person considers important. In this way, they feel they will become indispensable and their survival will be ensured. Okay, wow. If they fear the other person is doing something to hurt them, their first response is to take action based on revenge. However, if revenge is their motive, they always lose. They need to focus on getting their needs met by approaching people and situations in a practical way. When they can drop their defensiveness and say to the other person, "Look, this is really important to me," rather than resorting to power, following the humble approach will work for them. The idea is to stay focused on the positive results they want to create. To take care of their needs is valid for these folks. If they fear being wounded or betrayed, they need to do something to protect themselves. The problem is that they have a tendency to overreact and blow the whole thing out of proportion. Taurus North Node people are so passionate that their drive to experience intense emotions sometimes blots out awareness of what they're doing. One of their challenges in this lifetime is to take charge of that passionate energy and redirect it in constructive directions. Passion pursued for its own sake and taken to its limits results in destruction. In this incarnation, they are learning to build rather than destroy, and successful building takes more time than the intensity to which they are accustomed. So Taurus, y'all like intensity, Taurus North Node. When they are coming from fear, they destroy. When they are coming from love, they build. They are learning to dedicate their passion, energy, and mental power to create something worthwhile. And when they do that, they feel great about it. They are learning that there is more to life than a stubborn indulgence in taking financial risks, financial, personal, or sexual, that lead them into crisis and destroy their bodies. It is not necessarily what they do, but their drastic approach that wreaks havoc in their lives. They need to slow down and recognize that by working on themselves slowly and steadily, they can establish the sense of grounding and substance that has eluded them. These folks have a tremendous need for peace. After so many lifetimes of power struggle with others, they are learning that when they indulge in a desire to force a situation, the entire situation will collapse. Conversely, when they add the ingredient of peace, the situation will shift to their advantage in a way that works to the good of all concerned. Choose peace. Self-esteem. In this lifetime, Taurus North Node people are learning to experience their own self-worth. In past incarnations, they gave up what was important to them in order to integrate their power with another. They used validations as a barometer of whether they were on track in successfully empowering the other person, and this worked in past lives. But when they became attached to receiving validation and beginning doing whatever was necessary to get it, sometimes violating their own personal morals and ethics. Because they have extinguished their own value system, they came into this lifetime with no sense of self-worth apart from the feedback of others. Wow. This makes them incredibly vulnerable to adopting the values of those around them. Although it was correct in the past, in this incarnation, it is not set up to work when they focus on empowering their partner with the silent expectations that the partner will take care of them financially or validate them in some other way. In this lifetime, they are learning to build a sense of self-esteem directly by living according to their own value system. They need to empower others only when it is what they want to do. It fits with their own values and they have no expectation of getting anything in return. Validation. Taurus North Node people have a tendency to toot their own horns. They often jump in and use something another person says as a springboard to focus the conversation on a past victory, a way they have helped another, or a story illustrating how powerful they are. And then they talk incessantly. Subconsciously, what they are seeking is validation. During interactions with others, they begin to feel insecure, so they try to compensate by focusing attention on themselves in order to gain outward validation. The hope that others will see their worth and appreciate and respect them so that their insecurity will subside. Unfortunately, it's a temporary fix. They have to keep doing it, and in reality, the habit of focusing on themselves turns other people... Unfortunately, it's a temporary fix. They have to keep doing it, and in reality, the habit of focusing on themselves turns other people off. The irony is that Taurus North Node's feelings of inadequacy only arise when they begin to judge themselves or compare themselves with others. These folks carry a lot of anger. However, if they take a deeper look, they will see that their anger is really based on fear of not being respected, not being liked, not being treated like a human being. So when they feel angry in a specific situation, they can ask themselves, what am I afraid of? This will help put them in touch with resolution. Taurus North Node people often become frustrated and feel robbed of self-worth when they do not get the validation they think they deserve from others. All their fears are all around the issue of, how am I going to be acknowledged or recognized? They feel afraid and angry because they're giving and not getting back what they need. But this need can never be satisfied externally. They can never get enough validation from others, no matter how much wealth, prestige, and power they have, to feel good about themselves on a deep level. The resolution to their anger involves beginning to live ways that are self-validating in accord with their own values. When they stop looking to others to provide their sense of self-worth and start looking inside themselves, suddenly their anger becomes productive energy. Sometimes Taurus North Node people pursue careers that are not really what they feel called to do, but are what they think will draw validation from other people. They are not vulnerable to pursuing professions that others view as lofty so that they can get applause. Then, if they're not feeling appreciated, it can poison their enjoyment of the job. In such a situation, their best bet is to reflect on what aspect of the job makes them feel good. Is the job furthering values that they think are important? Are they using skills that make them feel good about themselves? Are they doing an outstanding job that gives them confidence? Are they making the money they think their work deserves? They need to get in touch with what they appreciate about their job and consciously validate themselves for being on path with those values. This is validation that they can count on consistently, appreciating themselves for being themselves rather than meeting someone else's needs. Validation from others is energy food for these folks. They always enjoy a phone call or a visit from a friend because it's an acknowledgement of their existence. They need to establish ways of feeding themselves energy so that they become self-contained. Then they can interact with others because they want to, rather than out of neediness. One positive self-validating action would be to set up a financial plan for themselves. In addition, spending time each day putting energy into things that are personally meaningful for them is self-validating, such as preparing good meals. The idea is to engage in regular activities that nurture and help them feel good about themselves, regardless of the input of others. When they do this, they are on track. Boundaries. In childhood, the parents of these natives sought to impose their values. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get a drink of water. This one's kind of serious over here. I told y'all this was intense. It is to me anyway. Okay, boundaries. In childhood, the parents of these natives sought to impose their values on the Taurus North Node child. This is normal parental behavior, but most children simply discount parental values that are noticeably different from the internal values they are born with. However, Taurus North Node children have no pre-established internal values, so they are totally open to absorbing the values of their parents. They cannot see that they are separate from their parents. Breaking the subconscious bond with their parents is one of their major life challenges. These folks are learning to express what they need and to avoid thinking about others' needs first. They often feel they are moving through life reacting to other people's situations and falling into things as opposed to consciously recognizing where they are and where they want to go. They tend to be too focused on the motivations of others, subconsciously seeking what they need by first defining what the other person wants. However, they often go off track when they do this. They may think they fully understand another's motivations and take action or respond to the person on that basis, only to find that their appraisal was incorrect. It works best when they avoid tuning into the desires and opinions of others and instead focus on their own needs. This is what I need. These are my reasons to build an unshakable sense of security and successfully reach goals. Taurus North Node people need to keep in touch with their level of comfort and determine their boundaries. When they are considering a goal, they need to ask themselves, do I feel comfortable about this goal? Does it feel right? They can also use their internal sense of comfort to determine when they are moving too quickly. If they are, they need to slow down and continue at a pace that is comfortable for them. When they stand firm within their own boundaries, progressing in the development and with what is truly important to them, they will find others more willing to make adjustments to accommodate what these folks deem important. Self-sabotage. Taurus North Node people have a tendency to shoot themselves in the foot, to do things that keep them from experiencing success. Their goal is important to them, and they pledge to it wholeheartedly, but they also feel unworthy and subconsciously put up roadblocks so they can't achieve the goal. And when they keep banging against the door, knowing that it will not open. The motive for defeating themselves is generally something that they are not aware of. Thus, some introspection or psychological probing is necessary for these folks. Sometimes it is self-punishment for a real or imagined experience or something they feel guilty about that pulls them back from successfully reaching the goal. For example, when they were 5 years old, they may have pushed their little brother who hit his head and had to go to the hospital, and subconsciously they still feel guilty. Reaching goals involves taking tried and true systematic steps for getting there, but these natives have so much inner resistance that they leave out the one obvious thing that would ensure their success. If they want to go to medical school and are fully qualified and have good grades, they may apply to several top medical schools, but not also apply to an easier entry medical school. If they don't get accepted in any of the top schools, they block their entire path. Another way of Taurus North Node people subconsciously defeat themselves is by going too far out on a limb without a safety net. It's like jumping without a backup parachute or driving without a seatbelt. They take unwarranted chances. The bottom line is they need to rely on their own energies to reach the goals they seek. They can hope that the promises of others will come through, but in the end it's up to them to ensure that all the bases are covered of what unexpected things may happen. They need to use more than logic. They have to use common sense and strategize their lives. Wow. The key is a practical step-by-step approach, focusing on the next step they need to take rather than becoming fixated on the exact means of reaching their goal. Since they don't have a lot of practical past life experience, It's fine for them to check out their strategies with others who have successfully created results similar to what they want. These folks sometimes want to be more than they are. They like to impress other people, and this can lead to problems. They are learning that they are okay just as they are. The self-sabotage comes from wanting to move too fast or to be bigger than they are at the moment. They need to stay with themselves, grounded in their bodies. Making judgments. Taurus North Node people are largely unaware of the serious damage they do to others when they make harsh judgments. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. Without regard for the other's feelings, they thoughtlessly rip to shreds another's belief system with a great deal of righteous enthusiasm. They hold nothing sacred and therefore have no qualms about destroying what may be sacred to another. Needless to say, being judgmental does not win them any friends. In fact, it alienates them from people who would otherwise want to be close. People don't trust them because they fear being judged. These folks are learning to stop destroying what others have built and instead focus on building what is important and valuable to themselves. The best way to fight evil is for them to make energetic progress for good. I know that's right. In fact, the things that upset them about others' behavior can be a clue to finding their own values. For example, if they are criticizing another for having two sexual relationships simultaneously, perhaps it is a clue that they themselves value monogamy, and monogamy should be written on their values important to me list. As they begin to live by those values, they will start to build a sense of self-worth. As they remain consistently true to their own values, they will become less judgmental about others who have different values. Taurus North Node people tend to be highly judgmental of themselves and undermine their own self-worth. They have a code of correct conduct against which they measure everyone, and most harshly themselves. They can be their own worst enemy. When things don't work out in the way they expect, they blame themselves for being out of alignment. Therefore, they suffer twice, one with a momentary bad mood, and again by casting themselves as wrong for having had the bad mood. They often compare themselves to other people and feel jealous of what others have. This makes their lives more complicated and much less happy. For any of us, if we are doing in our lives what is making us happy, then we're on track. But the moment we compare ourselves to others, we lose. Someone is always higher or lower, depending on the standards we use. Taurus North Nodes are learning that it's not their job to judge. It's their job to simply walk through life, handling each situation the best they can, and moving step by step in the direction they feel is personally meaningful. This is hilarious, John. I don't mean to interrupt. Minding one's business. Are they saying y'all nosy? Yes, they are. Minding one's business. Because they are often unclear about their own boundaries, Taurus North Node people have a tendency to meddle. These folks feel free to get involved in other people's business, but are shocked when others get involved in their affairs, and they can be terribly opinionated. Not Taurus North Node, nah. When they speculate on the subconscious motivations of another, they form all kinds of conclusions about the other person. Then they become upset because they've decided what the other person ought to be doing, and he's not doing it. The problem is that these folks are projecting their own values onto others and then judging them when they don't measure up. The other person's goals may be totally different, and the path she is traveling may be exactly correct for her or him. For example, if the Taurus North Node person wants marriage and commitment, she may be extremely judgmental about a friend who enjoys dating men who are not marriage material. However, the friend may not want to settle down at this point in her life, so dating men with whom she has nice short-term relationships may be correct for her. Taurus North Nodes must have the humility to understand that others may have different values and goals. They need to stay out of other people's business and focus on their own self-development. Taurus North Node people also tend to inadvertently communicate their ideas in an intense and judgmental way that causes discomfort for those around them. Dang, y'all. They are pointing out others' dysfunctions without admitting that they have the same tendency, because they have not yet owned these qualities in themselves. They are unable to make commitments without heavy emotional overtones. The key is to recognize that their trait or behavior in themselves and forgive themselves for it, when they don't have to justify themselves by trying to define right action for others. As their personal conduct becomes grounded through exemplifying the qualities they value, they will feel at peace. They will no longer be tempted to be judgmental when they see qualities they don't admire in others, because they will have gained the knowledge they need. They will know who they are and what they stand for. Another aspect of Taurus North Node's tendency to get involved in other people's business comes from past lives as mental healers, psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, witch doctors, specializing in exploring the depths of another's subconscious. However, in this lifetime, it is in their own best interest to separate themselves from the energy fields of other people's minds and focus on their own business instead. These folks are very sensitive to the judgments of others, and if someone affects their energy field in a negative way, it's okay for them not to spend a lot of time around that person. In past lives, they developed attunement so they could be as close with the other person as possible. They became very aware of how that person viewed them so they could adjust their behavior instantly to better accommodate the unit. However, in this incarnation, using their sensitivity to pick up on how others may be viewing them will disconnect them from the power of just being themselves. Their job is to stay out of other people's minds and business. Y'all, I can't help but laugh at this. I read this already. I've read this book. But this is the one that just blew my mind the most. Okay. Their job is to stay out of other people's minds and business. A good affirmation for them is, what others think of me is none of my business. Oh, let me get a drink of water, y'all. Okay. The dark side. Sometimes Taurus North Node people are drawn into positions of great influence. They become attorneys in high-powered law firms, executives in large corporations, and so on. Holding these positions sometimes triggers an unscrupulous side of their nature. When that aspect emerges, they are not loyal to their employees, their own ethics, or themselves. They become attached to ego gain. When they opt for full ego involvement, they are willing to do anything to get ahead. Damn. And they begin to think they are selling their souls to progress in the world of money and power. Often they sell out by allowing other people to give them things with strings attached. Pretty soon, they're going along with someone else's game, living according to others' values. These folks are so accustomed to giving their power to others that when temptations arise in this incarnation, it's easy for them to yield in order to gain power and special privileges. And they have a lot of power in that position. They hire, they fire, they make or break people. This inflates the ego. They may abuse their power by letting employees sweat it out, worrying about whether they will still have a job. However, these tactics lead to a breakdown of employee morale, and Taurus North Nodes lose the goodwill, trust, and loyalty of the workers. They are learning to resist temptations to abuse power. After all, what goes around comes around. When they abuse power, it always comes back to haunt them. They are learning that they cannot go against their own values without severely undermining their self-worth. And that's pretty serious because self-esteem is what Taurus North Node people are aiming for in this lifetime. Even when these folks have chosen the path of light, they are aware of their dark side. For example, I had a Taurus North Node client who worked as a waitress. Her higher self was very aware that the most difficult customers are those who need love the most. When she consciously gave them love and positive energy, in most cases they became more agreeable. But she would go back to the kitchen and pantomime punching somebody. That action was her past life tendencies being released. She would then go back to the customer and come from the loving place she knew was correct. But sometimes these natives' instinctive response is to let their past life side beat the heck out of someone. Taurus North Node people sometimes live on the dark side, suspecting others' motives and projecting evil or looking for it on those around them. They will learn much about themselves by viewing the evil they see in others as a reflection of their own subconscious. Well, that's a statement. Also, when they look for evil, they become vulnerable to negative energy that holds them back. To avoid being victimized by this tendency, their best bet is to stop focusing on the dark side in others. Stop focusing on the dark side in others and pay attention to the strength they are building in their own lives. They tend to be like a horse with blinders, focusing on the positive things they want to manifest. and they use their powerful psyches to focus on, they need to be like a horse with blinders, focusing on the positive things they want to manifest. As they use their powerful psyches to focus on the light, they will attract positive forces. Needs. Establishing a comfort zone. The reason Taurus North Node people become so dependent on another person is because they have moved out of their own internal sense of comfort. When they have nothing to hold on to except their connection with the other person, a vulnerable and unstable position at best, they consciously stay in touch with their own comfort level. Their relationships work much better because they have created something solid and stable within themselves. They've been through so many radical changes in past lives that in this incarnation they are scheduled to rest, accumulate possessions, and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. Good food, good sex, and a comfortable, stable home environment. Sounds good. An inner feeling of comfort is an accurate barometer of being on path. They will win if they remain to the boundaries of their own comfort zones. All right, now we have wants versus needs. From time to time, jealousy arises as an issue for Taurus North Node people. They see others' possessions and covet them. These folks often have an endless chain of wants based on longing for others' possessions. They see a neighbor's new car, and right away a mechanism inside says, I want that. But when their wanting is based on insecurity, it never works out for them. It's a bottomless pit. To gain the sense of substance they seek, their best bet is to turn their focus away from what they don't have and begin appreciating the bounty of what they already have. This is a lifetime of material accumulation for Taurus North Nodes, so desiring things is not a mistake. However, they have to be willing to earn the things they want through their own efforts. When jealousy arises, they can use it to identify whether or not it's triggered by something they actually need. Then they can decide whether it's worth striving for. Rather than be victimized by wanting, they are learning they can have whatever they want if they are willing to earn it. Taurus North Node people have a tendency to be distracted by others' wants and motives. Underneath their issues around survival motivate their concern with others. They need to simplify things, to stop getting into other people's minds, and just get into touch with themselves. What do I need here? What do I need in order to feel comfortable in this situation? What these folks really want is for their insecurity to be resolved, to know that all their needs will be met. This is a lifetime of appreciating the bounty the universe is offering. Excuse me. Not grabbing what others have. If they panic and try to speed up receiving bounty in their lives, they lose touch with the comfort of their natural timing. Taurus North Node people are destined to accumulate that which increases their inner sense of substance. Their challenge is to slow down long enough to receive the gifts that life offers by taking the emphasis off specific people as their source, and by partnering directly with life itself. Their insecurities over survival can be finally healed. They will find their life sends the right people who often show up unexpectedly to ease their journey as every new need arises. Okay. Water time. Okay. Timing and value. Taurus North Node people are in a hurry about everything, even when they are taking a drive. Instead of enjoying the scenery, they just want to get there, and they wonder why it's taking so long. These folks want instant results. It said in the front of the book that patience is something that you'll learn in this lifetime if you go towards your North Node. These folks want instant results. They are incredibly intense and are learning to rein themselves in, remain within their comfort zone, and stay connected to their own strength. These folks are learning to build slowly so that their foundations are secure. It's tough for them to go slowly because they are not accustomed to it. However, in this lifetime, they are destined to replace fast intensity with slow and steady progress. To give an example of the transition required of them, when a skyscraper needs to be replaced, there are two teams of people involved. One team destroys and removes the existing skyscraper with dynamite, crane, and bulldozers. They may only take a week, but the process of rebuilding the new skyscraper may take a year. In past lives, Taurus North Node people were on the team of destroyers, but now they are here to build. Let's read that again. It sounds like something important. Taurus North Node people were on the team of destroyers, and now they are here to build in this lifetime. Building takes much more time, and no stages may be hurried or skipped, or the entire structure will collapse. Yep. These folks are learning to slow down and carefully build what is important to them without rushing a relationship, a business, or manifesting a dream. If they feel uncomfortable, it is a warning that they have missed a necessary step in the building process. They are learning to trust themselves and to appreciate the peaceful feeling they gain from slow and steady progress accomplished on their own. Although they need to go slowly to create successful results, Taurus North Node people also require a certain amount of stimulation to get themselves going. In a crisis, they are motivated to action, and not having that crisis energy can keep them from progressing with their own projects. When there's no crisis surrounding their goals, one thing that can help them is to establish time limits for themselves. Time limits can act as an artificial crisis. Taurus North Node people can look at the steps they need to take and write them down. For best results, the process should be in black and white, what the goal is, what the steps are, and the completion date for each step. This gives them built-in crisis energy. These folks need to make their plan a top priority. Reaching that one goal has to become the important thing in their lives, and everything else needs to be subject to that consideration. For example, if they want to lose 30 pounds, they need to make the most important thing their first value for a predetermined time. Everything else takes a back seat. Job, recreation, everything. At work, their diet becomes first, regardless of what others are doing. They eat precisely what is on their diet because that is their first value. If they feel low energy in the afternoon, they have a cup of coffee or take a Chinese herb. Anything except break the diet. If they are tired, they go to bed early, but they do not break their commitment to the diet. Everything revolves around that. It's important for Taurus North Node people to be realistic and choose practical times for attaining their first value goal. For example, if a Taurus North Node works in an accounting firm, it would be a mistake to make losing 30 pounds his first value during tax time. Yep. His job will probably be first value, and rightly so during that time. So he needs to choose a time for reaching this goal that will not be unusually stressful. Once Taurus North Node people are committed to a direction, they can use their obsessive energies from past lives to fixate on their first value, and then they'll get there on schedule no matter what. Self-acceptance, honoring needs. The first step of self-acceptance for Taurus North Node people is to acknowledge that there is a needy person inside and to take personal responsibility for filling those needs. If they try to appear self-sufficient and suppress that needy part, it will come out full-blown to make itself recognized. They have denied and postponed their own needs in so many incarnations that now their needy part is over-energized, and that is to their advantage. They have earned the right to embrace and encompass that part of themselves. They cannot hope to experience truth and honesty in human relationships if they do not demonstrate this behavior in their own lives. This includes no more sins of omission. For example, letting what someone says pass by without acknowledging feelings of hurt or pretending to be in agreement. These folks must start communicating their discomfort or hurt with one another has said or done. To discern and build healthy new patterns of behavior, they must release the old. Self-revelation will enable others to see who they really are, discern their needs, and help them further their aims. Taurus North Node people are tuned in to the hidden desires of others. They are often very perceptive in helping others become more self-aware and less victimized by self-defeating, subconscious motivations. But these folks have a blind spot. They can see clearly how others shoot themselves in the foot, but they can't see how they themselves do it. Worse, they can strongly resist feedback about their own subconscious motivations. It can be vividly clear to those who care about them that they are hurting themselves or holding themselves back. When the behavior is brought to their attention, they tend to go into denial. To progress in this lifetime, they must bring into awareness and release subconscious guilt and self-defeating behaviors. Part of their resistance to help stems from the fact that they're accustomed to being the ones doing the helping. These folks are not used to accepting that others have power to recognize and help perfect what is valuable in them. They are also so sensitive to criticism that they often interpret the input of others as in invalidating their worth, rather than as encouraging their fuller self-expression. The key is to focus on what they want to build, their own ideas and aims. Taurus North Node's job is to allow others to empower them for a change. A major turning point is when they focus time and energy on projects that are important to themselves, not being diverted by what they think is important to another person. For example, I had a Taurus North Node client who loved to buy people books in their area of interest. It was a very generous act, as she went out of their way to find just the right book with a message she thought would be valuable. One person she sent books to was a friend of mine who doesn't even read. This is an example of how these folks divert energy from pursuing their own goals for the sake of others who haven't asked for their help and may not appreciate it. Oh God, y'all. I'm sorry, this is funny. In this incarnation, Taurus North Node people are here to take back their power. When they stand in their power, they can afford to be loving and helpful to others, not from a place of neediness, from a sense of contentment that enables them to be generous. Thus, their first responsibility is to themselves is to do things that bring recognition of their self-worth and the contentment of enjoying life. There are no more battles to fight, nothing more to give up, no part of themselves that has to be thrown away. This is a building lifetime, building a sense of comfort through their own connection with themselves. Forgiveness. In order to achieve full self-acceptance, these folks must release those who wounded them in the past through the process of forgiveness. This includes people in the present lifetime, as well as any feelings of suspicion and outrage that stem from past incarnations. Forgiveness is essential to keeping their own power intact, and their best motive for forgiveness is not generosity, but rather taking care of their own needs. In past lives, Taurus North Node's methods of protecting themselves was revenge. Y'all hear this? Scorpio. Man, I'm not bashing Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio moon. But Scorpio, a lot of them tend to like to take revenge. Not all of them, just it's in their astrology. But, you know, like this person, if you're North Node and Taurus, you're South Node being Scorpio, so you used to like to take revenge. Read this again. In past life, Taurus North Node's method of protecting themselves was revenge. If someone hurled one stone at them, they hurled a stone back, plus an additional stone to make sure that person stopped. To stand up to the power of others was enlivening in those incarnations, but in this lifetime it is a waste of energy, a distraction from their new peaceful direction. They just want to build lives of comfort and stability and enjoy being on Earth. To achieve this, however, Taurus North Node people need to face the necessity of forgiveness when dealing with abuse or wounding. It's the only way they can cleanse the other person from their psychic field and regain inner peace. Regardless of what the other person did to them, they need to forgive the abuse and forgive themselves for allowing the abuse to occur. It also helps if they identify the strength they gain from the experience. If someone has wronged them beyond the point of forgiveness, they may need to confront the person before they can release the situation. One way to accomplish this is for Taurus North Node to go where he won't be disturbed, close his eyes, and imagine that the person he is unable to forgive is sitting in a chair facing him. Through visualization, he can confront that person and let her know how he feels. Then he needs to listen intuitively for a response from the other person. If, in his mind, the person responds with sincere apologies, Taurus North Node can forgive. However, if the person responds with arrogance or justification, or obviously is still not aware of the gravity of the injustice, vindication may be in order. In his imagination, Taurus North Node can take the perpetrator through the experience of abuse and allow her to experience the pain that she caused him. Then she will be able to forgive and release her from his life. Forgiveness is essential for these folks. It is the key to their release from painful early memories. If they are angry with someone and haven't forgiven him or her, it binds them into a negative psychic connection with the other person. That's absolutely true. True. One reason they withhold forgiveness is fear. They forgive the other person. They don't know what the other person may do to them, and they're afraid they will no longer be shielded from attack by their angry memories. They think they might be vulnerable again to someone who has abused them. But actually, if they truly forgive, they break the bond with that person, and then whatever the other does, Taurus North Node is totally invulnerable. Grounding. Taurus North Node people have spent so many incarnations enmeshed in the bonded energy fields between themselves and others that they have lost touch with their sense of physical grounding, being in touch with their bodies and enjoying the physical aspects of life. In past lives, they wanted to experience higher realms, to fly. So they took one foot off the ground to experience other realities. Then they took both feet off the ground. Thus, in this incarnation, they have no sense of grounding or inner stability. Their challenge is to get their feet back on the ground and regain a sense of their own inner strength. Wow. Appreciation. One of the main keys for satisfaction in this lifetime is for these folks to consciously evoke the feeling of appreciation. This practice alone will make a significant difference in their lives. In past lives, taking time to feel appreciation was the last thing on their minds. Their consciousness was geared to crisis management, and they had an addiction to excitement. Their desire was never satisfied, always wanting more. To balance overactive desire in this incarnation, they need to exercise the antidote, which is appreciation for what they already have. Gratitude. Part of cultivating the energy of appreciation involves acknowledging the bounty that is already present in their lives. As they feel gratitude for what life has already brought them, they relax and feel peaceful and loved. The energy of appreciation pulls them back into themselves, and when they are centered in this way, they open to life, bringing them more. For example, no matter how much or how little money they have, Taurus North Node people can say, "Thank you, universe, for providing enough money so I can afford whatever they do have, a roof over their head, food on the table, etc." If they don't have a partner, they can say, "Thank you, universe, for the friends, family, co-workers, children's pets, etc. you have sent into my life to love me." This is the key to the fullness they have been seeking. It has nothing to do with this happening externally. It has to do with graciousness and accepting and appreciating what they have. As they take the time to appreciate what they do have, with openness and feeling, they begin to experience the fullness of love inside them, which replaces the agitation they have so often felt. Connection with nature is the next one. Okay, connection with nature. Everyone needs to receive nurturing energy in order to feel renewed and satisfied. In past lives, Taurus North Node people became dependent on soulmate relationships to provide that nurturing. In this lifetime, whenever they depend on others to fill those needs, they feel let down. It's set up this way because their lesson is to become independent in meeting their own needs. In this incarnation, these folks have a magical relationship with Mother Nature and with the earth, and that is where much of their nurturing is destined to come from. Their attunement to Mother Nature empowers them to connect directly with her energy, and absorb it in a healing and re-energizing way. For peace of mind and inner strength, Taurus North Node people need to spend time in nature on a regular basis, consciously appreciating the support Mother Earth is giving them. This process will magically shift their basic emotional state to one of serenity. This works. Absolutely. Situations with others that evoke insecurity will occur less frequently when these folks are consistently reinforcing a base of calm support inside themselves. Some of these folks have a green thumb, and they may find working with plants or spending time gardening soothing. It is in their best interest to fully absorb the energy from Mother Nature, to touch a plant or tree and let the earth nurture them. Hugging a tree can evoke the same energy and happiness for them as hugging a person. Hugging a person is also good. Sensual affection is always beneficial for them. If they feel any reservations about whom to hug or what their motives are, a tree will always provide the connectedness they need. So they're saying, hug a tree, Taurus. Taurus North Node. Their ability to receive energy, Their ability to receive energy from nature is a gift they can share with others. For example, if they're walking in the park with a friend and share their knowledge of tree energy, their friend will be more aware of this gift of nature's energy while in the presence of the Taurus North Node person and will be permanently enriched by the experience. Wow. Sensual enjoyment. To keep themselves focused on furthering their aims requires facing the issue of self-worth. These folks may feel unworthy spending time and energy on themselves. However, such feelings are totally off track. Taurus North Node must spend time doing the things that they consider to be important, and this will build the resources they need to experience life and relationships from a foundation of self-sufficiency. The fact is, for spiritual balance, their destiny in this incarnation is to experience the sensual enjoyments of life, to become grounded, and to regain a sense of their own earthy substance. In past lives, Taurus North Node people developed a deep enjoyment of the spiritual. I need to read that again. In past lives, Taurus North Node people developed a deep enjoyment of the spiritual, psychic senses. Now it's time to develop a deeper awareness of the 5 physical senses. In this incarnation, their senses are generally quite sensitive and well developed. Y'all hear that, right? The idea is to pay attention to the pleasure their physical senses offer them, the smell of springtime, the taste of a good meal, a perfume they enjoy, or the touch of their lover. Even lifting weights or other physical exercise can be sensual. Anything that gets in touch with their bodies in a way that results in pleasure and or self-esteem. Music is an excellent source of enjoyment for these folks that eases their mental frequencies into harmonious patterns. They may benefit by having music playing regularly in the background. They are attuned to the sounds of nature, waves crashing on the beach, birds singing. To enjoy their sense of hearing is altogether on path for them. They also gain pleasure from their sense of sight, noticing the beauty around them, appreciating artistic creations, or taking the time to enjoy a sunset. Taurus North Node people generally have well-developed taste buds. Fully enjoying the pleasure of a good meal and going to posh restaurants are totally on path. They become aware of their sense of touch. To become aware of their sense of touch is also beneficial. Taking the time to touch a tree, a leaf, a piece of wood, fabric, and to experience physical comfort is altogether appropriate. Even being aware of the sensation of snow crunching under the feet can be a sensual pleasure. Another way to enhance their sense of grounding is to become more conscious of their clothing in terms of how it feels on their body. Does it feel sensual or comforting? Do they like the touch of that fabric? These are the clothes that they should put on their bodies in order to take care of and pamper themselves. Clothing can be a powerful vehicle for establishing self-worth. For an important appointment, if the choice is between an outfit in which they are comfortable and confident versus an outfit they think will impress the other person, their best bet is to wear the clothing in which they feel comfortable. That way, regardless of the other person's response, they feel comfortable within themselves. Other sensual experiences are good karma for these folks include giving or receiving a massage or being pampered with a manicure, facial, body wrap, sauna, or jacuzzi. When they spend time giving themselves physical rewards and sensual pleasure, they won't need it as much from others. Wow. Hold on, y'all. Let's read this, and I'm going to take a little pause. Okay. Relationships. Search for the soulmate. Taurus North Node people are born looking for their soulmates. This can lead to promiscuity during their youth, with a tendency to jump into relationships too quickly because they want the bonding so intensely. Their challenge in this lifetime is to focus less on bonding and more on building their own values, and they will attract the right mate. From past lives, these folks are accustomed to giving everything and having the other person reciprocate. But in this incarnation, much to the native's surprise, it's not in their charts for others to take care of them in the same codependent way. This is a universe way of helping them break abusive codependency and learn to be more self-contained. Deep in their hearts, more than anything in the world, they want a soulmate, that special person to travel through life in a state of mutual vulnerability, commitment, and empowerment. To have this dream come true, they need to first experience being complete within themselves. When they no longer need another person to make them feel whole, only then will they attract the right life partner. Taurus North Node people feel acutely lonely sometimes, aching for their mate. They long for the comfort of consistent, dependable companionship, and this is a lifetime where loyal companionship. Listen to this. And this is a lifetime, where loyal companionship is their birthright. But as with everything else in this incarnation, they must earn it as they work to experience their own wholeness and direction and become a powerful river in their own right. They can merge together. They can merge with another powerful river that is going in the same direction, and together they can flow to the sea. Wow. All right, y'all. I've been reading for an hour, 6 minutes. I'm going to take a little break. Hit the pause button. Okay, invasive maneuvers. Yearning for the soulmate causes Taurus North Node people to probe the psychology of others. In past lives, this technique worked for them. Their understanding of another's psychological makeup facilitated a bond of mutual empowerment. However, they became so accustomed to stepping into other people's psyches that they lost touch with their own boundaries. Now, when they enter another person's force field, they go too far and become invasive, and both people begin to lose their sense of autonomy. Also, the other person can sense that Taurus North Node wants the bonding energy, rather than simply appreciating and empowering the other as a person in his or own right. These folks think everyone wants the same emotional things they do: love, acknowledgement, appreciation. So they give others this emotional support and encouragement. But if they rush in and try to change another's mood, sometimes they are surprised when the person responds with anger because he feels his boundaries have been invaded. Also, Taurus North Nodes often inadvertently become too enmeshed in another person's force field and begin to feel uncomfortable. If they get too absorbed in another's moods, it dissipates their own energy. When this happens, their best bet is to excuse themselves, take a break, get grounded, walk around the block, or touch a tree, or allow nature's nurturing energy to pour into them. Then, when they feel calm, confident, and centered in their own energy, they can again approach the person or situation and know what to do. In this lifetime, Taurus North Node people tend to be able to maintain their own psychic energy field as a separate entity before they attempt to bond with another. When they do bond, they need to create space in their relationships. They tend to do anything in front of their partner that they would do in private, which isn't necessarily a good idea. I'm getting visions, which isn't necessarily a good idea because the partner may begin to feel like a part of them rather than a separate individual. Establishing boundaries that support their individuality and self-worth is essential in creating the space Taurus North Node people need for their relationships and themselves to thrive. Being unaccustomed to boundaries at first, they have difficulty recognizing other people's boundaries and establishing their own. Yet if they stay calm, they will gain awareness to define their own so they can live their lives, so that their lives can be strong. They can have a greater sensitivity to the boundaries of others. Healthy boundaries promote self-respect and respect for others. Abuse is the next section. Abuse. In Taurus North Node's previous incarnations, abuse was a factor, both giving and receiving, owing to the power struggles that resulted when bonded relationships became too consuming. One of their primary challenges in this lifetime is to separate their identity from that of their parents. They have to establish boundaries for themselves in order to break this bond. Otherwise, it continues to create a power struggle. These folks are learning not to abuse power. Sometimes they learn this lesson by being victims of abuse themselves. By being victims in early life, they have a choice. They can abuse others when they become adults, or they can break the pattern and not retaliate for the abuse they have received. They are learning about love and forgiveness. Those lessons may follow on the heels of having been wounded unfairly themselves. Sometimes Taurus North Node people are in denial about their difficult childhoods, even when the abuse was blatantly apparent to others. They tend to portray their parents as good and see themselves as having evoked abuse as a rightful punishment for being bad. They are all too willing to carry guilt. I had a Taurus North Node client with 2 children whose parents had severely abused her during her childhood, sexually, physically, and emotionally. Yet she thought they had been good parents. This woman eventually sought psychiatric care, and one day the doctor asked her, "What would your children have to do in order for you to feel they deserve the punishments you received as a child?" This stopped her dead in her tracks, as she realized there was nothing her children could ever do that would justify being treated in that way. When Taurus North nodes experience abuse as adults, they have to first acknowledge that it's happening. Then they need to extricate themselves from the situation and break the psychological bond through forgiveness. Often they do very well with psychotherapy or some other forms of intervention that enables them to uncover and release past life and early childhood memories of abuse and feelings of guilt. Their tendency to perceive themselves as their tendency to perceive themselves as intrinsically bad and disliked by others is actually their oversensitive probing to evoke validation from others. When these folks stop seeking validation, they will no longer be vulnerable to feeling disliked. Sometimes the people who have abused them do shun them, and the reason is understandable. When one has abused another, there's a lot of guilt involved. Taurus North Node people are master builders. When they focus on building a relationship and do it their way, in tune with their own level of comfort, it will last forever. Their challenge is to not allow other people's energy to disturb their sense of what's comfortable. It's not in their advantage to allow themselves to get knocked around in any way. Excuse me, all. All right, discrimination. Because they were not born knowing what is important to them in life, Taurus North Node people tend to investigate others' values, but this never works because when others share what's important to them, Taurus North Nodes say to themselves, "That's not important because of blank," and the other person feels invalidated. Not only do Taurus North Nodes lose out on what they are seeking, but the process throws the other person off track in pursuing his values, and he often ends up feeling upset. Taurus North Node people have spent so many incarnations being subject to the value systems of others that they sometimes hide what they want if they think it's not socially acceptable or not okay with those close to them. But in this incarnation, in order to build a sense of self-worth, they need to discriminate between others' values and their own and honor what they want. Only when they go after what they really want do they feel good about themselves. For example, if making lots of money is important to them, their tendency is to allow the values of others to invalidate them. "Oh, that's so materialistic, and you're a spiritual person." Then they feel badly and try to suppress that desire in themselves. This is typical of how they undermine their own self-worth. However, if these folks try to suppress their desire for wealth because of someone else's disapproval, they will end up with money problems. If they try to solve their money problems, something will work against them because they feel guilty about financial success. Then they will be stuck, not knowing why they can't get that aspect of their life together and feeling badly about themselves. Thus, if they desire wealth, their best bet is to openly pursue it. Discrimination is also an issue in that Taurus North Node people attract troubled types as candidates for close relationship. I need to read that again. Discrimination is also an issue in that Taurus North Node people attract troubled types as candidates for close relationships, perhaps owing to past lives of working with emotionally disturbed people or their attraction to living on the edge. Taurus North Nodes tend to be drawn to people who are poor risks for closeness. When they bond with and put their trust in one of these people, they always end up feeling being disappointed. These folks are aware. They know when they are dealing with someone who is so troubled that she doesn't have the ability to give anything back, but they are attracted nonetheless. They think they can help heal the other person, and then they expect the other person to be grateful and offer reciprocal support. But this equals how to lose for Taurus North Node people. Their job is to discriminate and form relationships with those who are already psychologically healthy. One way to get involved with the wrong people is when they seek to gain validation from others by taking on their values. For instance, even if they don't take drugs, they may talk about them and put up a front if they think it will make them look good. This confuses both themselves and others. They repel those who would normally be attracted to them, and they attract those who have the same values they are espousing. If they get in touch with what is really important to them and clearly represent those values, then they will attract people who truly resonate with them. In this incarnation, Taurus North Node people need stability, not crisis. To achieve this in the context of relationships, they must not let their partner invalidate them. If the partner says something that they are not comfortable with, they can let her know, I'm not comfortable with that. In this way, they make the other person aware of their boundaries, giving the partner an opportunity to accommodate them and come into alignment with what they need. As the relationship evolves, it will become apparent whether or not this person is an appropriate partner. Bonding. Taurus North Node people love the energy of bonding with another person to accomplish far more than either one could do alone. This process in itself is fine. The problem is that Taurus North Node gets stuck on one end of the teeter-totter, being person B, the one who notices the worth of the person A, and helps person A reach his or her goals. This no longer works. It's time for Taurus North Node to be person A, the one who allows B to be attracted and help person A reach his or her goals. Taurus North Node people are not selfish. When others empower them in manifesting their dreams, they make sure the others are taken care of. But to achieve successful bonded partnerships, Taurus North Node people need to be the ones that others support. This means clarifying their values and goals and allowing others to rally around them. Because these folks are so accustomed to shared energies and mutual empowerment being the key to their survival, subconsciously they think they need another person's energy in order to live. This is why they often make poor choices in their early relationships. They rush into highly charged bondings and consummate them as soon as possible. Their desperation blots out their ability to accurately appraise the other person. These folks aren't standing on solid ground when they are caught up in intense energy early in a relationship. When they allow that to happen, they become vulnerable in a way that requires total trust. Then, if the other person pressures them for a decision, they are tempted to commit to the relationship too quickly. However, these things quickly does not work for them in this lifetime. They have to take the slow and steady approach to ensure positive results. Relationships they just plunge into are almost predestined for failure because their basis is a temporary energy connection rather than a true fit with the other person. Furthermore, if Taurus North Nodes go too fast, the relations between themselves and the other person that could fit, if given time for slight adjustments, don't fit because the partners have skipped the necessary stages of gentle adaptation. To achieve successful long-term relationships, Taurus North Node people need to first recognize that their energy is enough, that they could live off their own energy. As long as they feel incomplete, they will continue to attract people who have low self-esteem. But without untamed neediness driving them, they can take their time in enjoying whose energy will actually increase them and bring them joy. Sexuality. Taurus North Node people are generally highly sexual. They seek the intensity and excitement of sex and the bonding that is possible through a sexual connection. Early in life, they may be promiscuous. If they feel a connection with a person right away, they want to get into bed to start the bonding process. Then the relationship ends as quickly as it begins because there wasn't a stable base to support the passion. These folks spend much of their lives looking for a soulmate, that one piece of the puzzle that goes together perfectly with their piece. When they are impatient and become sexually involved at the onset of a relationship without allowing time for a connection to be established, it's because they want a soulmate so badly and think sex will tell them who that person is. The irony is that if they take their time, the sexual energy will be much more intense and satisfying because they have established a meaningful base for their relationship. However, they have had so much past life experience merging with people mentally and emotionally that they often leave the aspect of enjoying their bodies out of the sexual process. They can burn out sexually in relationships and not understand why. In this lifetime, it is scheduled for them to pull back from the energy fields of others and establish a sense of home base inside their own bodies. This is their key to a happy sex life. They need to deliberately take their time in relationships, not rushing the sexual aspect until they have fully developed a sensual connection with the other person. Taurus North Node people need lots of physical affection, kissing, hand holding, touching, massaging, really tuning into how the other person's hands feel on their skin and how their nervous system responds to the other person, strictly on a bodily level, without the aid of their imaginations. Then they need to see how the other person's body feels to them, if they feel a physical response in the other's body when they touch. Building this body-to-body sensitivity will bring their full sensuality into play and will provide a stable base for their sexuality. If Taurus North Node's body does not resonate with the other person, that is important knowledge. He will not want to pursue a romantic relationship that has no lasting substance on the physical level. Over time, Taurus North Node people may begin to have sexual problems with their long-term partner. When this occurs, it is generally because they are using sex to barter for something else. Oh no, they did not say that. For example, if a Taurus North Node woman wants flowers or jewelry, she may use sex as a way of manipulating her partner so he will buy her those things. If a man wants certain behavior from his mate, he may withhold sex or use sex as barter to get what he wants. Oh my God, y'all. In this way, the sexual urge becomes diluted by other motives, and over time, the sexual part of their union becomes less intimate. The other person feels the attempt to control through sex and begins to lose interest. As a result, relationships that were once highly passionate may end up as platonic friendships or cause a feeling of impotence or frigidity. By seeking to mentally manipulate their sex drive, Taurus North Node people lose touch with their own natural potency. In this incarnation, these folks are learning to appreciate the gift of sharing sexual pleasure with their partner without any other motives. They are learning the value of the simple, natural pleasures of life: food, sex, being comfortable, enjoying the physical pleasures that are the gifts of having a human body. Next section is loyalty. Loyalty and commitment are very important to Taurus and North Node people. They generally do not play around. They want someone to go through life with, a partner who feels the same way. They want to feel fulfilled, so when they marry, they tune into their mate psychically and begin feeding him or her power, validation, and energy, expecting that their mate will reciprocate. This doesn't work because Taurus North Node doesn't first discern what his partner's needs actually are from the partner's point of view. Instead of tuning into his partner's needs, he projects his own values onto his mate. He projects what he thinks she wants and needs, and then he fulfills those needs. But his partner's actual needs and desires are seldom even recognized. Yeah, that's something to pay attention to. For Taurus North Node people, solid relationships are based on each person taking responsibility for fulfilling his or own needs and gaining energy from activities outside of the relationship. Then a healthy bonding can take place that is based on mutual strength, giving energy rather than draining it on one another, draining it from one another. They are learning that loyalty between two people in a relationship is based on both people being loyal to themselves. They need to establish a bond of loyalty to self before they can expect to be loyal to another in a healthy way. For example, loyalty to self implies honesty communicating. I don't feel comfortable with this, rather than invalidating personal needs to adapt to the partner. It implies taking a position of integrity based on an inner feeling of what is correct and standing in that one place, rather than standing in different places depending on where most validation seems likely. Through living by their own values, these folks allow the right person to respond and support them. This means that being willing to risk losing their partner if they remain true to themselves, honestly revealing what their inner comfort level is telling them, either the other person will validate them by coming closer, or the other will leave and make room for someone more appropriate. When difficult times create stress in a marriage, Taurus North Node people view loyalty as the quality that keeps two people together, working on the marriage until they both can get over the hump. Loyalty involves integrity and a commitment by both people to work on the issues rather than giving up. Taurus North Node people need to feel that the other person will be there, so when they become fully invested in the bond, they won't have the rug pulled out from under them. Because this is an important issue for these folks, when they begin a close relationship, their best bet is to acknowledge, loyalty is important to me. Knowing that my partner is going to be there through thick and thin, is it an important quality to you in a relationship as well? By making it clear from the beginning, they allow the other person to see the type of relationship they are offering. This is one of the most effective ways they can take care of the needy part within, discovering for themselves what their needs are, acknowledging that those needs are important, and then clearly communicating those needs to see how the other person responds. The idea is to move the give and take of relationships out of the realm of expectations and into the realm of open disclosure, verbalizing what is important as the relationship progresses. Then they can determine whether both partners want to meet each other's needs and make each other happy on the consistent basis that they need. Withholding is the next section. Taurus North Node people tend to withhold what the other person needs because they are judgmental about what they think the person really needs. For example, the other person may say she needs to play bridge with her friends one evening a week. The Taurus North Node partner may resist. You don't need that. Those people aren't up to your caliber. But by invalidating his partner's expressed needs, he undermines the relationship. His best bet is to truly empathize with the other person without the overlay of his own desires. That's good advice. Because Taurus North Node people are so aware of their own needs, when the partner asks for something, their first response may be resistance. They don't want to keep giving because they feel empty, so they deliberately withhold what the partner has asked for and defend their position by becoming judgmental of what the other person wants. In this situation, both people lose. The other person feels deprived, so she retaliates by giving less to Taurus North Node or giving with resentment. This seriously undermines the very bond they want to build. It is to these folks' advantage to release their tendency to withhold from their partner. Often the key is discrimination. Does the other person's expressed need violate Taurus North Node's sense of self-worth? If not, it behooves them to give the other person what she needs, just as it is inappropriate for him to live by someone else's values. It is inappropriate for him to expect others to live by his values. Other people are simply being themselves. Get a little water here, guys. Okay. Stretch my arms, you guys. Awareness of needs. There is a difference between expressed needs and unexpressed needs. An expressed needs is something the partner says she wants: 1 hour alone every day, time to do a project, dinner together once a week, etc. When Taurus North Node people generously cooperate with those needs, their partners are happy and respond with an outpouring of love and appreciation. An unexpressed need is something projected onto the other person. This doesn't satisfy what the other person actually wants and leads to dissatisfaction for both parties. Wow. So this whole thing is like, Taurus North Node people, don't try to put your own opinion or whatever on your partner. Let them have their own opinion. Let them express themselves. Find out what they want. And try not to act like that you know what they want, because you really don't. You're not them. I think it's what this whole chapter is saying. That's one of the main problems that I see. Okay. Sometimes these folks are afraid to reveal what they need for fear of appearing selfish. Actually, when they don't reveal what they want, they deprive their partner of the opportunity to make them happy. Also, if they don't communicate their boundaries and let others know what they need, people begin to lose respect for them. These folks don't object to anything they don't say. No, this is not okay. Others tend to take advantage of them because they don't feel enough self-worth to stand up for themselves. To Taurus North Node people, others can seem like gods who hold the key to meeting their needs, but they overvalue others and undervalue themselves. This is the imbalance that leads to heartbreak. Once they recognize this, instead of trying to figure out if the other person can fulfill their needs, they begin to let their partner know how they feel and what they require to be happy. No justification, no compromise, just simple revelation of what they need in the relationship by overtly saying, "This is what I need to be happy in this relationship." They give others the opportunity to adapt to them. The irony is that when Taurus North Node people are true to themselves in this way, the changes others make in their behavior are generally beneficial for Taurus North Nodes as well. These folks sometimes feel they've given and just don't have any more to give. This stems from being constantly aware of their partner's needs. It takes a lot of energy to keep part of one's concentration always attuned to the other person. The feeling of emptiness is actually to their advantage. It reminds them of the necessity to turn inward and meet their own needs first. Otherwise, the emptiness persists no matter how much their partner gives. Yeah. You know, I want to say something. I know this is not in the book, but if you feel empty like that, you need to learn how to meditate. Go outside, be in nature. You got to make sure your chakras are cleared and stuff like that. All right. If someone makes you feel, let's see, how can I say this? If you feel empty, if somebody did something to make you feel empty, then you need to go within to fix that. Okay, that's what they're saying. Exposure. Next section. In the history of humankind, many negative thoughts and emotions have been generated as a response to life experiences, especially inadequacy, guilt, and shame. These feelings are not personal. They are part of the collective unconscious. Although they do not accurately describe us as individuals, if we identify with one of these feelings, we have a tendency to hide it. Then we think we're the only ones with these terrible feelings. This process happens in the extreme with Taurus North Node people. A negative emotion floats by, they grab it, hold on to it, and try to hide it. In order to hide it, they have to bury it deep inside. It takes tremendous energy to hide those feelings from others, and the fear that someone will find out how they feel generates a lot of anxiety. Yep. These folks are so sensitive and psychically bonded with others that they think everyone knows what's going on with them all the time anyway, so they really become intense trying to hide these feelings. Their best bet is to get past this anxiety. The best bet to get past this anxiety is to simply expose what they're feeling, one layer at a time. When they expose it, they can release it. The light will dissipate it. They should practice revealing their feelings in non-threatening situations where they feel a certain level of trust with the people involved, although any situation will seem threatening when they first take the risk. They may start out, "There's something I want to share with you, and I feel a certain amount of fear in saying it." That peels off one layer. Then, "I feel anxious inside, and I'm not exactly sure why. It's like there's some kind of feeling going on underneath the anxiety, and I'm not sure what it is." That peels off another layer. As each layer is exposed and released, the next layer makes itself apparent. "Gosh, I guess what's going on is that for some reason I feel a sense of inadequacy in this situation." Period. That's it. Once it's exposed, it dissipates. Then there's no more anxiety, no more feeling inadequate. The whole thing is released. Through this process, Taurus North Node's inner negative feelings are permanently discharged, and they begin to experience less anxiety in all their interactions. Interesting. Next section is goals. Self-reliance. Taurus North Node people are not allowed to rely on others for success in this lifetime because they need to learn to rely on themselves. Thus, when they count on another person's energy to create what they want and it doesn't turn out according to their high expectations, it's one more reminder from the universe that they are not allowed to rely on others for their sense of self-worth. The irony is that once they learn to rely on themselves, others rally around them to help them reach their goals. Their confidence comes from knowing that because they built success on their own, step by step, no one can take it away. Establishing self-worth. When Taurus North Node people look to others to acknowledge that they have power, they won't feel like they have any. When they realize that their power is within them, they have a lot. Part of claiming their power involves understanding their own value. They don't have to work to become something valuable. Their value is inherent. Who they are is a gift they can bring to the planet. Their own sense of self-worth is the one thing they can hang on to amid the constant shifting of public opinion. When these folks let others determine their worth, they're on a roller coaster. I had a client with this nodal position who was working with endangered species. She had to bring a change of clothes each day because in handling the animals, her clothing would become soiled and smelly. One day, she forgot her other clothes and had to wear her work clothes home, and she had to bring a caged animal with her that day. As she waited to catch the ferry boat, she noticed that other people gave her a wide berth and treated her with disdain. Then a friend who was in the new car business and needed to transport 3 autos on the ferry asked if she would drive one of them on board. When she climbed into a brand new Lincoln Continental, she noticed that the attitude of the people on the ferry shifted. They were friendly, smiling, and waving to her. Yet her worth, who she was inside, stayed the same. She could recognize how invalid it is to let other people determine her worth. In this incarnation, the most important goal for Taurus North Node people is to pledge themselves to their own values and build a sense of self-worth. They are learning that they can't establish self-worth by going along with others' values to gain validation, nor then can they attain self-worth through resisting others' values. Either way, they lose. They win when they discover what is truly important and precious to them, their own values. Self-worth will come as a byproduct of living according to those values. They recognize the truth of this, but may still feel lost when it comes to knowing what their values are, and that's fine. They have a clean slate, a unique opportunity to get in touch with what is the deepest level of their souls. The idea is to consciously discover what is important to them, what values give them a sense of being grounded, confident, and able to face the world without anxiety. They need to ask themselves, what principles can I live by that will make me feel good about myself, give me a sense of my own self-worth, and give me a solid path to follow. For example, if Taurus North Node people decide that honesty in communication is a value for them, they need to begin letting others know when they feel uncomfortable. If they decide that starting their own business is important, they can begin systematically allotting time to it. These folks have discipline once they're clear about their direction as they travel through life. If they are uncertain about which road to take, they can ask themselves, would taking this action make me feel good about myself? Regardless of the consequences in the outer world. If the answer is yes, they can proceed with confidence. To further discriminate, they can ask themselves, does choosing this direction make me feel comfortable or anxious? When they choose to move in alignment with their comfort zone, they win. If they opt for anxiety with no safety net, they lose. In this path leading to inner peace, or will it create more crisis? Let me word that again. Is this the path leading to inner peace, or will it create more crisis? Inner peace will lead to victory for them. Is my motive self-validation, or to gain the validation of others? Those pathways that validate the principles they think are inherently valuable and give them a sense of self-esteem to help them win. Self-empowerment. Taurus North Node people are so accustomed to empowering others that they have forgotten how to empower themselves. In this lifetime, their challenge is to turn the spotlight around and make themselves more powerful. They can discover how to do this by noticing that what they do empowers others and then applying those same tactics to themselves. For example, they sense what the other person really wants and encourage him or her to go after it. They add to what is inherent to the other person, thus turning it around. What project or direction gives them energy? What do they want to build? Once they know what it is, they need to feed themselves support and encouragement. This is a lifetime to take their power back, to use it for themselves rather than giving it away or sharing it in ways that are not responsible for themselves. For example, if they spend their energy on charitable projects when they have trouble coming up with a mortgage payment each month, that's furthering the cause of another without first providing a secure financial base for themselves. These folks are learning not to waste energy, whether in the form of time, money, or personal talents. They are learning to use their resources consciously. It is very easy to divert their energy away from building comfort and security. They may even distract themselves, spending time doing anything else because they don't feel confident in doing things to fill their own needs. Yet when they approach it on a practical level and proceed step by step toward their goal, they gain self-assurance. Taurus North Node people tend to be unwilling to give 100% of themselves. They hold back because they are afraid of failure and don't want to further undermine their sense of self-worth. Actually, if they do give 100% and don't attain their goal, they will still feel good about themselves because they know they did their best. But when they hold back and fail, they're never sure. If I had really done my best, would I have succeeded? And that does undermine their self-confidence. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to these folks is to encounter a situation in which they are forced to do their best. When it's all or nothing and they're forced to open up the valve all the way, that's when they truly get in touch with their own power, and tremendous self-worth is born from it. Taurus North Node people are learning to recognize their own power, that it comes from within and is not dependent on anyone else. The idea is for them to do things that allow the power within to come forth naturally. Devoting time to projects that make money for them or provide comfort or security is empowering for them. They gain power when they have the courage to walk through difficult times and experience a positive outcome. They gain power when they communicate in what is truly important to them, regardless of others' opinions, and see the situation turn out well. When they step outside of society's values and get in touch with their own values, they find their power every time they are true to themselves. All right, I need to get a drink of water, y'all. Next section is practical application, a sense of purpose. Taurus North Node people are master builders. Once they learn how to take their time, work out each step so that it's solid and not move faster than what feels comfortable, the things they build will last forever. These folks' past lives revolved around the projects of others, so in this incarnation they are learning to make decisions and steer the project. The strength required to see the project through will come from being clear about their purpose. If, with each step they take, they clarify their purpose. What is my purpose in making this call, in having this meeting? It will help focus their direction and they will make steady progress. One of the first jobs is to find a project that makes them secure and happy. If it's a financial project, their strength will be in seeing a public need and figuring out what they can do to fill the need that will also make money for themselves. Then, because it's their project, when they take responsibility, because it's their project, when they take responsibility, their energy soars. And the energy comes from success, nurtures them and creates a positive feedback loop that helps them remain clear about their purpose and focused on their goal. Owing to so many past lives of empowering others at the expense of their own self-worth, Taurus North Node people can be skittish about allowing the idea of others into their world. But the fact is that now the tables are reversed. In this lifetime, after they have chosen their goal, they are supposed to allow others to help them. They tend to make the process of success unnecessarily hard on themselves. They think others are supposed to give them everything, support them, and take care of all their material needs, or they have to do everything on their own without any help. It's one extreme to the other. Or they have to do everything on their own without any help. This all or nothing approach is neither accurate nor practical. It is true that Taurus North Nodes need to earn their own success. However, once they have decided on a goal and are willing to put forth the effort to get there step by step, then it is fully appropriate for other people to support them, empower them, and help them reach the goal. Others can make their route easier by opening up opportunities, pointing out pitfalls, broadening their approach, and helping them cover their bases in a practical way. They shouldn't rely on the help of others. But they need to learn to accept it when it is freely offered. Next section, a step-by-step process. When Taurus North Node people see how far they have to go to reach their goal, they panic. All the work involved, the hurdles to overcome, how can they ever get there? So they pull back from their larger goals owing to fear of failure. It all seems too overwhelming. Seen from their point of view, it would feel overwhelming to anyone. The only way long-range goals are reached is by breaking the process into individual steps. The idea of being a doctor is intimidating to a high school student, and yet, if that is a true dream, it's worth working through the hurdles. First, the aspiring physician has to complete a 4-year college education, then 4 years of medical school, then residency. It's a long process, but it can be accomplished in stages, one step at a time. And the goal will be reached if each step is completed with total attention. It's the same in an important relationship. If these folks meet someone who rings their bells, the idea of reuniting with their soulmate is so overwhelming that they don't want to think about it. They want to jump right into it, and the result is disaster. What they dreamed of isn't accomplished because they tried to bypass the necessary steps. Sometimes, when they think about their goal, they forget that getting there is solely up to them and their willingness to do the work. They can feel a lot of emotional intensity worrying about whether they are worthy of the goal. But this is like looking at a mountain and wonder if they're worthy of reaching the summit when the only thing that can make them worthy is actually climbing it. If they have proper equipment, choose a realistic route relative to their experience and ability, and are willing to put one foot in front of the other, they'll get there. Taurus North Node people are not accustomed to formulating a strategy for getting to the goal, since in past lives, defining the steps was the responsibility of another person. Now they are learning to determine the goal they would like to accomplish. For example, a camping trip for the family, starting a business, etc., and to formulate a practical plan for achieving it. As they take the steps, they're very efficient in having a feeling of confidence that it will work, and it usually does work as long as they systematically follow the steps. Even so, it is not always easy for these folks to be clear about what they want in life. They may need a lot of self-reflection and soul-searching to determine what they want to build. And when they do decide, it is important that they remember to tune into their inner feeling of comfort as a barometer of whether a decision is on path for them. Regardless of what their mind tells them, they have an inner feeling of discomfort about something and proceed anyway, they always lose. When they remain true to that inner sense of what is comfortable, which is reflection of their own unique boundaries, everything works to their advantage. Taurus North Node people need values and ethics to live by, a path they can walk step by step to achieve serenity. When they find spiritual principles they resonate with, their best bet is to apply them on a practical basis in their daily lives. They are much better off with application rather than theory. For example, 12-step programs are great for them. Alcoholics Anonymous, Adult Children of Alcoholics, etc. As these programs focus on a practical, step-by-step approach to spiritual principles. To build a solid sense of self-worth, these folks need to follow a path of doing the right thing according to what they feel is morally correct, rather than going along with the values of others. Their means of guidance may not always be the most pleasant, but if they follow it, it can lead them out of the dark, being lost without a sense of integrity and self-worth, into the light. Shame or guilt may be an indication that they should reevaluate their behavior. Regardless of the opinions of society, they know what makes them feel good about themselves. When they follow their own internal guidance system, a solid sense of self-worth is ensured. Next section, mastering money. From the charity work they performed in past incarnations, Taurus North Node people have gained the right to earn personal wealth in this incarnation. You hear that? Let's read that again. From the charity work they performed in past incarnations, Taurus North Node people have gained the right to earn personal wealth in this incarnation. Charity work is natural for them because in past lives, other people paid their bills, so they put their energy into things that were good for the community. However, in this incarnation, it is better for them to pursue activities for which they are paid, since the process of earning money helps build their self-esteem. These folks sometimes are too trusting with money. They know that trusting the universe is a principle that works. However, it is also true that God helps those who help themselves. Trusting the universe does not mean avoiding personal responsibility and doing irrational things out of blind faith. If a friend says, "Will you loan me $3,000? And $3,000 is all Taurus North Node has to cover their own expenses. Trusting the universe does not mean thinking, "Well, I trust the universe, so I'll just give away my money." Taurus North Node people need to accept responsibility for taking care of their own finances. Only then can they include others without fear of losing their personal power and self-worth. When they feel secure, they can trust the universe in a way that empowers them to see what life is offering. Next section, taking charge. To accept responsibility in terms of money and open the doors to accept responsibility in terms of money and open the doors to personal wealth, Taurus North Node people need to deliberately begin paying attention to money, writing things down, keeping track of what they're spending and where their money is going. This is empowering. It enables them to channel their money into meaningful directions. Accumulating money is a game for which these folks have a real talent. Once they put their minds to it, they can make a little money go a long way and can easily become wealthy. Sometimes they feel resentful about having to take charge with money. They are angry about not having the easier life they are accustomed to in past incarnations. Yet it's healthy when they do take care of themselves. A steady job, a stable income, a savings account, and financial plans for the future. This idea is to create a secure financial base that will allow them to take risks in other areas. This gives them a feeling of ease and confidence about life and makes them feel good about themselves. Although some folks do very well with inherited money, Taurus North Node people are not in that category. It's not to their advantage to be dependent on an inheritance or the financial goodness of others or a state or federal assistance program. Any situation in which they are financially dependent on another debilitates their sense of self-worth. In this incarnation, it's crucial that Taurus North Nodes earn their own money and are paid for their energy. If they have inherited money, it is in their best interest to use part of it to start their own business or in some way promote a cause that builds their sense of self-worth. If they are financially dependent on a spouse, it is healthy for them to start a small business of their own or take a job outside the home, even if they don't need it or it's not much money. They need to build a sense of self apart from their connection in another person. Regularly setting aside blocks of time for working toward an individual goal or project that is important to them is another way to build their self-esteem. If these folks are on a state or federal assistance program, they can begin taking side jobs to make money. If the Taurus North Node is a parent with children, perhaps she could start a child care service. The issue is not how much or how little she makes, but the sense of self-worth that is gained. Absolutely. I agree with that. Taurus North Node people have a natural understanding of how money works and the necessity of circulating money. Their challenge is to circulate it consciously. Once they start using it to build with, they can become very wealthy. In past lives, they were so accustomed to using other people's money that they lost respect for the value of money. They didn't have to earn it themselves. In this lifetime, they are learning to respect money and to use it wisely in ways that can help it multiply. Money is their teacher. Once they tap into their intuition of how money works, money itself will show them how to make more. Next section is debt. Taurus North Node people may have a problem equating wealth with debt. I've had many clients with this nodal position who accumulated enormous debt according to this misunderstanding. For example, I had one Taurus North Node client who, with her husband and another couple, started an innovative cosmetics business. It took off faster than anyone expected, and orders came in fast and furious. To keep up with the unexpected rush, my client borrowed against her credit cards to hire more employees, order more ingredients, and so on, until she had accumulated a debt of nearly $60,000. Then there was a falling out among the partners. The company collapsed. Her marriage ended in divorce, and she was left $60,000 in debt. It took her 10 years to pay off the debt. To do it, she lived in a cheap apartment, allowed herself no luxuries, cut out her social life, worked 2 jobs, and endured incredible stress and deprivation. When the business first got off the ground, my client jeopardized herself by trying to respond instantly to an outside demand. She could have allowed the universe to unfold the business organically, using the profits to expand the business from its modest beginnings. I had another Taurus North Node client who wanted to make films showing New Age encounter groups, especially those dealing with the emergence of new feminine and masculine roles in our society. She thought the films had a noble mission, and she trusted the universe to provide money for the project. She borrowed money, thereby accumulating an enormous debt to make those films. My client trusted that the money would be there because the universe wanted the project to succeed. Her life became total chaos trying to raise more money, do the project, and come up with delay tactics in paying back the money she had already borrowed. Eventually, the entire undertaking collapsed, and she had to declare bankruptcy for the second time in her life. This time, not only were the financial institutions hurt, but friends and family who had loaned her money as well. The accumulation of debt does not work well for Taurus North Node people. They are master builders when they use common sense and don't take leaps of faith or try high wire maneuvers without a safety net. But in some ways, they don't respect money and tend to be careless about it. Although they don't think much about it on a conscious level, they have a lot of fears around money, owing to a lack of experience in providing for themselves financially in past lives. Once folks realize they have to deliberately be more conscious about money, they accept the responsibility. However, sometimes they lose control and go on a spending spree, buying something they don't need that they have to pay for later. In past lives, money was a tool for distraction. Thus, in this life, when they get bored, they may have the urge to go shopping with a subconscious feeling that they deserve it and someone else will pay. Rationally, they know this is not true, but they almost can't help themselves. Taurus North Node people can't stand feeling restricted financially. Yet the irony is that once they put their nose to the grindstone and accept responsibility for earning and budgeting, they can easily accrue the kind of wealth that will allow them to spend without worry. Once they have made it, they will need to continue to be responsible about handling it. They are not allowed to be unconscious about money in this lifetime. Okay, we have a healing theme song. This is the writer. I have written a healing song for each nodal group to help shift the energy in a positive way, since music is a potent vehicle for emotionally supporting us and taking risks. The song is called Seek Ye First. Seek Ye First. The message of this song is meant to effortlessly shift the focus of Taurus North Node people toward turning within themselves to connect with the wealth of reassurance and peace in their own nature. Thus, the bonding they need for security and a sense of self-worth can happen within themselves. Here's the lyrics. My guy got sick, needed attention, so I put on my nurse's hat. My heart fell when he called it distraction. That's not where I was at. And I remembered, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and I turned within. And before too long, my heart felt strong. The outside got in order again. So seek ye first, because inside of you is the kingdom of heaven. Wow. This comes with some kind of CD or cassette, but they know this is an old book, so we don't have that. That's the end of this, guys. I got through it quicker than I thought. But to me, it was very interesting. I hope that I didn't read too fast or too slow. But I hope this helped my Taurus North Node people. Like I said, if you're a Taurus North Node, your South Node is in Scorpio. Okay, which is the opposite sign of Taurus. Very intense, too. That Scorpio-Taurus axis is very intense, okay? That's why this one here this was kind of a doozy to me. The next one I will be doing is Virgo. I don't know when I'm going to do it. It will be sometime this month. We'll do Virgo, and that'll be the earth signs. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, or it helped you in some way, and I will see you next time. Love you guys. Love you, Soul Tribe. Anybody else watching, y'all have a great evening, night, morning, wherever you are in the universe. God bless.